Okay, there she is.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
two benefits.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Ready? Okay, good morning, everybody. We're gonna get started with our April 25th Board on Public Safety Standards and Training Board meeting. Before we start, there's an administrative announcement. This is a public meeting subject to public meeting law and it will be recorded. Deliberation of issues will only be conducted by board members unless permitted by the chair. Individuals who engage in disruptive behavior that impedes official business will be asked to stop being disruptive or leave the meeting. Additional measures may be taken to have disruptive individuals removed if their continued presence poses a safety risk to the other persons in the room and it makes it impossible to continue the meeting. We will start with introductions. I will start to my left with our Vice Chair.
Denise Barrett, Beaverton Police, Non-Management Law Enforcement.
Brian Gillespie, Interim Fire Chief, Portland Fire and Rescue.
Chris Heppel, Deputy Chief, Eugene Springfield Fire, representing Oregon Fire Chiefs Association.
Mike Reese, Department of Corrections.
Shelby Wright, Executive Assistant, DPSSD.
Jennifer Cameron, Non-Management Law Enforcement.
Mark Daniel, Mount Angel Police, representing Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police.
Mike Fletcher, Columbia 911, representing the 911 folks of Oregon.
Scotty Downing, Salem Police Department, Non-Management Law Enforcement.
Phil Castle, DPSSD.
Kath McAlpine, DPSSD.
Matt English, Hood River County Sheriff, representing Oregon State Sheriff's Association. Start here.
Sam Tenney, DPSSD.
Kathy Pink, DPSSD. Morning, Susie Marion, DPSSD. Jennifer Howell, DPSSD. Stacy Utzi, DPSSD. Kayla Ballrod, DPSSD.
Samantha Costa, DPSSD.
And then we'll move to online. When I call out your name, can you please introduce yourself? We'll start off with Member Lenzen.
Hi, Dan Lenzen, Chair of the Private Security Investigators Policy Committee.
Member Adams.
Hello, James Adams, Bend Fire, representing Oregon State Firefighters Council.
Member Carragher.
Jack Carrier, representing the Oregon Volunteer Fire Association.
Member Morno.
Joe Morno, Coburg Fire, representing OFDDA.
Member Rowan.
Sheriff Terry Rowan, Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, representing Oregon State Sheriff's Association.
And Jennifer Lavario.
Jennifer Lavario, DPSST.
You have Mariana on there.
Oh, and then Fire Marshal, if you want to introduce yourself as well. Sorry, I think you're off phone number, so I can't read you.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Thank you. Mariana Reese, Temple State Fire Marshal.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Everybody has had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting, January 25th of 2024. Entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Barrett, I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
All right, this is a motion to approve the January 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Adams.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Carragher.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morno.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Rowan.
Aye.
Member Rose Temple.
Aye.
And motion passed.
Perfect. All right, we will move into Fire Policy Committee. Go to an update first from Chair Heppel.
Yeah, for the record, Chris Heppel with OFCA and the Fire Policy Chair. We met last month. It was a relatively short meeting. I reviewed a couple of cases which are as part of your package on the consent calendar today. No, nothing further to report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Chair? All right, we have 3 items on the consent agenda for fire. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Scotty Downing, I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, this is a motion to approve the Fire Policy Committee consent agenda, items A through C. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Adams.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Carriger. Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morno.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Rowan.
Aye.
Member Ruiz Temple.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, moving into Criminal Justice Policy Committees, we'll start with Police Policy Committee and Chair Nowning.
Thank you. For the record, Scotty Downing, the Chair of the Police Policy Committee. We met on February 22nd, 2024. We had 4 cases on the consent agenda, and then we heard testimony and discussed 3 additional cases, which are all included in the consent agenda today.
Thank you. And we'll move on to Telecom, Chair Fletcher.
Yes, sir. I missed our last meeting, so I don't have a report for you. Our next meeting is May 1st.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Matt English, for the record, Chair of CPC, or Corrections Policy Committee. So our committee met on February 13th. We had 4 administrative closures, and then we considered 9 cases, which are before us today in the consent agenda, and our next meeting is May 8th. And so we will move into the criminal justice consent agenda. So we have items A through P to consider. So cases and then committee appointments for PPC, CPC, and Telecom. So floor is open for a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Barrett, for the record, the wall nominations also.
Oh, yep, thank you. Oh. Yeah, so item O is also the nomination for George M. Lowe of Ashland Police Department, and the information was in our packets.
So moved.
I'll second. Barrett.
All right, this is a motion to approve the criminal justice consent agenda, items A. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Adams.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Carriger. Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morno.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Rowan.
Aye.
And Member Ruiz Temple.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, we will move into private security committee update. We'll start with Chair Lenzen.
Hey, y'all. Good morning, everyone. Private Security Investigators Policy Committee, they met on February 20th and recommended the rule changes you've received today. As mentioned in the agency update, the program has hired a learning and development specialist. The specialist is going to review the curriculum for updates or revisions and work towards providing training for all the private security instructors and managers. And then our next meeting is going to be August 20th, as the May meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items.
Thank you, Chair. So before us today is the private security consent agenda. There are 2 proposed rule changes, A and B, and then committee appointment, which is C. So floor is open for motion to adopt the private security consent agenda.
Scotty Downing, for the record, I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second, Chris Heppel.
All right, this is a motion to approve the Private Security / Investigator Policy Committee consent agenda, items A through C. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Adams.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Carriger.
Aye.
Member Daniel,
Aye.
Member Fletcher,
Aye.
Member Gillespie,
Aye.
Member Heppel,
Aye.
Member Lenzen,
Aye.
Member Morno,
Aye.
Member Nowling,
Aye.
Member Reese,
Aye.
Member Rowan,
Aye.
Member Ruiz Temple,
Aye.
motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are going to move into number 6 on our agenda, which is legislative action. So just of note, letter C on here, the policy option package placeholder, DPSST is still waiting on information back, so we're going to move that to. We will start with Jennifer Howell on A and B. So turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Jennifer Howell for the record. DPSST prepared 2 legislative requests for the 2025 legislative session. And before I present the individual requests for your approval, I wanted to give you a brief overview of what the process is like for the state agencies. Many of you might be going through this for the first time as board members working with DPSST on legislative concepts. So as a state agency, DPSST follows very specific guidelines for requesting legislative concepts. State agencies can request the legislative changes only during the long sessions, which occur in the odd-numbered years. The preparation timelines can often require planning for a long session up to a year or more in advance. Before DPSST can submit the request for the legislative concept, the board must approve the legislative request. So that's why we're here with you today. It's important to note that the board is asked to approve the request based on the identified issue and the proposed solution. So your memos include some draft changes to the ORS language, but that is something that we submit as part of the process. We don't have the final say in how it's actually written. That's the job of the Legislative Council. They prepare all of the draft bills and any amendments that go before the legislators in that process. So we work with them and make sure that they've captured the issue statements accurately, but they may have a different word choice or a different punctuation or a different placement altogether than what we propose. Because they know how to write the statutes. Let's see. So after the board approves the request, DPSST will submit the request to the Department of Administrative Services and to the Governor's Office for approval. Because state agency request bills are introduced at the request of the governor on behalf of the agency, DAS and the Governor's Office go through a preliminary review process at a high level, making sure that there aren't any surprises. They work to coordinate multi-agency efforts, and they work to make sure that if there's a budget need that needs to go along with that request, that those processes are going hand in hand. So after the agency's request is approved by DAS and the Governor's Office, then we would be able to submit it to the Office of Legislative Counsel for drafting. And as I mentioned, Legislative Counsel will review our issue statements, propose solutions, and draft ORS changes. And the draft that they create is referred to as the legislative concept, or the LC. After all of these steps in the LC process take place this year, the LC is introduced as a bill in the 2025 legislative session. And once it's introduced as a bill, the final language and the final outcome are subject to the legislative process. So as it goes through its hearing processes, as the legislators review it, there are opportunities for amendments, and legislators can introduce those amendments. That's just the quick highlight. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I just wanted to give you a little process background. The first, like I said, there are 2 legislative requests for your consideration today. They're separate agenda items, so we'll do them as 2 separate votes. The first request is a bit of housekeeping. As you know, the membership of the board and each policy committee is defined in our statutes, the Oregon Revised Statutes. In the list of members for the Fire Policy Committee, there is a position that is recommended by and representing a statewide association of fire instructors. In the past, this was the Oregon Fire Instructors Association, or OFIA. The issue is that this association no longer exists, and there are no other statewide associations for fire instructors. Since the association ended, the recruitment process has involved reaching out through the training associations, regional training associations, for someone to represent that fire instructor member. In this legislative request, DPSST proposes amending the requirements for the fire instructor representative member. The intent of the legislative change would be to either replace the recommending body or remove the recommending body, but still preserve the position as a fire instructor representative. On page 2 of the memo, you can see the examples that we prepared as examples of the changes. In the replacement example, the description continues to utilize training associations as the resource for the recommending body. On the other hand, I'd gotten ahead of myself there. Removing the recommending body altogether would allow other sources for recommendations, but it would not require the applicant to have a recommending body behind them. Consideration of applicants without a recommendation to support their appointment would then become the discretion of the chair and confirmation of the board. Mr. Chair, before the vote to approve moving forward with legislative concept, if there was discussion or consensus on whether or not the board would rather see a replacement or a removal of the recommending body, that would be helpful. I could tailor that in the request.
Chair Chris Apple for the record, OFCA. I think this is great. It's very appropriate. I'm very familiar with the dissolving of the association. I would say the strong nexus of DPSST to many of our training folks is through the regional training associations. We've done like our grants and our awards and all those things through that body. So I just propose that it's appropriate that it comes from one of those bodies versus just a singular person. They're controlling that a little bit as to who they want representing them in that space. So if I was to propose a recommendation, it would be a recommendation by an active fire association within the state of Oregon who's active in DPSST. Thank you.
Further discussion or questions?
Ryan Gillespie for the record. I agree with Chris, so I've got no concerns with that.
All right. So moving forward with maintaining a recommending body through
Yes.
the training associations. Thank you.
Okay, ready for a vote? Okay, motion to move forward with the draft legislative concept as proposed with the recommendation that the person represent one of the fire associations in the state.
Mark Daniel, so moved.
Barrett, I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, this is a motion to approve the proposed legislative concept for Fire Policy Committee membership housekeeping as proposed by the board. Chair English?
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett?
Aye.
Member Adams?
Aye.
Member Cameron? Aye. Member Carragher?
Aye.
Member Daniel?
Aye.
Member Fletcher?
Aye.
Member Gillespie?
Aye.
Member Heppel?
Aye.
Member Lenzen?
Aye.
Member Morneau?
Aye.
Member Nowning?
Aye.
Member Reese?
Aye.
Member Rowan?
Aye.
Member Ruiz Temple?
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. All right, thank you. Jennifer Howell for the record. In this second legislative request, DPSST is asking the board to approve a change that will allow professional standards cases to be completed after a public safety officer separates from employment, regardless of their certification status. Right now, DPSST's authority to deny training and to deny or revoke certification only applies to public safety officers who are currently employed or the public safety officers who have received certification from DPSST. This means that if a public safety officer violates the board's moral fitness standards and the officer is separated from employment before they've been issued a certification, there's no longer jurisdiction to investigate, and complete the professional standards case review process. In these circumstances, the cases are deferred until the person is rehired as a public safety officer. When cases are deferred until future employment, there can be unintended consequences, and concerns have been raised recently both internally and externally. Individuals who have deferred cases have expressed concerns that they may not be considered during a hiring process due to that pending professional standards case. Hiring agencies express concerns about expending the resources to hire an applicant only to find out after hiring and going through several processes that DPSST and the board will deny the applicant's training and certification. For DPSST, a student dismissal from academy training often results in separation. Dismissals can be grounds for moral fitness violation, and when the case gets deferred, it creates the previously mentioned hurdles for rehiring. And for all the same reasons, board and committee members have expressed concerns about leaving these cases unresolved. In this legislative request, DPSST proposes amending the Oregon Revised Statute to extend the jurisdiction and provide permissive authority to take action to deny training or deny certification after a separation of employment occurs. The legislative changes would include the ability to adopt rules, and the rules would establish processes for an affected individual and or a future hiring agency to request that the deferred case be reviewed. Having permissive authority is key to balancing the need to address the pending cases for individuals seeking employment in public safety while continuing to manage the workload for DPSST staff. So with permissive authority, DPSST may instead of DPSST shall. So DPSST would not be required to investigate and complete all deferred cases, and this recognizes on one part that not everyone will return to the public safety. Some may leave public safety entirely and not return. So this is a good time to note that the term public safety officer, as defined in statute, includes fire service professionals. And including the permissive authority will also allow that the rules and the processes that are adopted be applied to just the criminal justice unless fire chose to pursue that through their policy committee reviews and that type of thing. But the rules would be structured specifically for the criminal justice disciplines to begin with. On page 4 of the memo, DPSST provided draft ORS changes as an example, and the changes replace a pre-existing but limited authority with a broader authority. The pre-existing authority is rarely, if ever, used because of the very narrow set of circumstances it already describes. The broader authority will still achieve the same outcome for the language that it replaces. To date, we've identified around 133 deferred cases. These occur from 2018 to present, and they begin after the implementation of the 2017 moral fitness rule changes. As part of the future budget process, DPSST would like to request would like to request a position to go along with this so that we can support the workload and the completion. And of course, we'd be very happy to answer any questions. And then otherwise, go back to you. Thank you.
Barrett, for the record, would this implementation go back and effectively affect those 133 cases that are currently deferred?
Yes. So once the law change went into effect, then an individual would either, well, depending upon what rules are adopted, what the process is, either the individual or a potential hiring agency could request that the case be brought forward.
Chair, I have a question about the operational capacity. If the legislative concept is passed, but the corresponding personnel are not approved, will DPSST have the capacity to do the work?
Kathy McAlpine, for the record, DPSST Professional Standards Division Director. Right now, we have, outside of those, another 200 cases. So, and I think as anybody said on the committee, the ebb and flow on the volume that they're able to handle. And that is a concern. However, as Jennifer alluded to, not all 133 would even be eligible or, depending on the severity, and have sat dormant for a period of time. more of the immediate that comes to mind is the class dismissals or things that even have sat for 2 to 3 years, maybe individuals matured, made some life choices, things of that, so that may, and then, you know, a sponsorship by an agency, if that's where a rule goes, is helpful without having an agency commit to an actual hiring, only to find out maybe that the committee, then the board, elects not to, or take action against them. So as we do now, it's a priority of who is active, who's trying to. Right now, we those who say, I'm still interested, I'm trying, we try and move them up as opposed to those who recognize they're probably done, maybe in the state of Oregon or in this profession entirety. So it is a balancing act, but we do recognize that we would need some assistance, because we've also identified that we need additional resources just to keep up with business as usual. So this would just be taking on more work, being able to do it in a timely fashion, if that answers your question.
So if the rule is adopted, your aides and the personnel are not authorized in the budget, you're still able to prioritize. So you'd be able to, there would be some flexibility in your ability to prioritize the cases that you take under review.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Matt English for the record. I would just say, just wanted to thank DPSST for taking action on this. We talked about it, I think, at this meeting before, but we ran into a couple cases through the CPC where they'd been sitting, one of them had been probably 10 years, I think, and it really causes an issue for the agency and for the person trying to seek employment. So having an ability to get a disposition on that is helpful to all parties. So I appreciate all your work in addressing this issue. So if there's nothing further, to move this draft legislative concept forward.
Cameron, for the record, I'll move forward.
Daniel, second.
Thank you.
All right, this is a motion to approve the proposed legislative concept for deferred professional standards cases in DPSST jurisdiction. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Adams.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Carriger.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen. Member Lenzen, are you still on the line? Oh, got it. Member Morneau?
Aye.
Member Nowning?
Aye.
Member Reese?
Aye.
Member Rowan?
Aye.
Member Ruiz Temple?
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate all your work. Before we move into agency updates, I just have an update. It's just more of a procedural issue. So, as the board knows, we are tasked with doing the director's annual evaluation. That was completed last month, and so I've had the opportunity to sit down with Director Castle and go over the evaluation, which was all glowing and fantastic. And so my job is basically on behalf of the board to submit a letter to the governor's office stating that this was done. And so essentially, I'll just a couple snippets from the proposed letter. So board members rated Director Castle as meeting or exceeding their expectations in every category. Noted multiple times throughout the evaluation was the director's leadership and utilization of the DPSST team to address and very quickly reverse the backlog of basic police recruits waiting for classes. Director Castle received exceedingly high marks in his ability to effectively communicate with the board and constituents. His clear value of teamwork, both inside and outside the organization, as well as the trust, respect, and confidence constituents have in him. So if there is no objection, I would submit this to the governor's office with the board's approval. I don't think we need a vote, just a consensus, so. And I would just commend Director Castle for his excellent work and since last year when you started, and appreciate it, and it's been fantastic working with you, so I look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. We will move on to agency updates. Director Castle.
Phil Castle for the record. Awkward. Thank you very much, and I'll start off. I appreciate the board and the evaluation. Being a state agency head, you should be absolutely held accountable, and this is a good tool to do that. Along with that evaluation, there were also things that I can do better on there. So I absolutely saw those, and we'll be working towards those. And one of those I will start today. There was a recommendation on there, and once I'm done with my brief, I'll move into that. So again, thank you very much for that. And oh, by the way, I'm always open to your feedback, regardless of whether I'm getting an evaluation or not. So I'm always being evaluated. That's what this means in public service, and all of you know that. So first, thank you all for being here. This is a huge commitment. Fire Marshal, thank you very much for. I know you're on the way to the airport, and you're saving us here. So thank you, Fire Marshal, for being here, especially. Want to let you all know the campus is starting to relax a bit here. We've graduated a couple of our courses. We're about to graduate another 60-person course tomorrow, which is going to give us even a little bit more breathing space. But the staff are starting to relax a bit. They've worked very, very hard. This has been a really tough time on the staff. We've stretched everything right to the limits, and they've done a phenomenal job. So that's very proud of DPSST staff for what they've done for this. We are shifting our focus, not that we've lost focus, but we are really shifting our focus right now to telecom and BCL. We're starting to see some backlogs there that we didn't anticipate, so we are strategizing on how we can accommodate those and where we can flex and add to make sure that we're accommodating those disciplines. We've got to keep up with that workload for sure. We just completed our listening tour around the state, about 1,800 miles we traveled. It's hard to believe Oregon has that much internal mileage, but it absolutely does. We went to 16 different locations and had 1-hour meetings at all those different locations, and we learned a lot. We got some incredibly valuable feedback. We got some great suggestions. We've learned that we have some parts of the state that are very underserved by our services, and that we have to pivot in order to accommodate those and correct that. One of the key things we learned there was we always are trying to get the best bang for buck when we do regional training. So we're always trying to consolidate, get as many people as possible participating. But that when we do that with good intentions, we end up leaving our friends way out east or way down south or way out west out in the cold, so to speak. And they never get served. And so we are shifting that strategy mindset to stop worrying about the numbers per se and worry about the locations and getting to everyone. And we are, the next steps for us now would be by the 30th of this month, we will be sending out to all our constituents everything we learned, like a holistic, like we learned all this, very transparent. Here's what we're doing, here's what we're not doing, here's what we learned. So we're gonna send that out by the 30th. And by the 15th of May, we'll be sending out, now here's what we're gonna do about it. We can't fix everything, but we can we can do a lot. We can do some things differently, we can do some things better. We'll be sending that plan out to everyone, again, the whole constituency, all of you, to let you know what we're going to do differently out there in the regions to be supportive. So we're very focused right now on regional training and regional support of the constituency. We are working closely right now, as is every state agency, on the policy option packages, as you heard Chair English talk about. We'll have more on that the next time. You'll get a full report on what those are and how that's going. That is more to come there. We are working very closely with Director Reese's team right now and renewing and reinvigorating our relationship between the two organizations around training. So most of you probably know DOC does its own training, and they have a really robust training team, and they do it in a couple of locations around the state. They move their training. They have it. They need the ability to be able to train their own folks because of their sheer size and also their disparate locations around the state. So DPSST is working really closely with Director Reese's team in renewing that relationship, and that's really going well. What I want to do now is make sure I want to open the floor for any of your questions. So this is one of the things that I learned from my evaluation, that maybe we weren't providing that. I want to make sure that I do, and happy to answer any questions that you have about any topic. Let me off the hook here.
And you're gonna know who wrote that in the evaluation. Not on the first meeting.
And if there are no questions, I'm going to turn it. Oh, there we go.
Director, this is Mariana. Just a statement. Our agency also recently did a survey, so an electronic survey, and there was some feedback regarding our two agencies working close together, and some ideas for improvements. Nothing negative, but it might be a good point for you and I to connect on that. That might help inform some of the communications going out.
That's awesome, Fire Marshal. I really appreciate that, and I think we have a pretty big meeting coming up, and I'm looking forward to us connecting on that for sure. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Catherine Calpine, DPSST, Professional Standards. First, I would like to recognize Kathy Fink, who is, if you go by positions, Marsha Warren's position, or also known as a CJ manager, and does a lot of this. If you don't know Kathy, Kathy comes from 30 plus years in the telecom world, and she has also been off and on throughout those years an instructor here in telecom. And filling both roles for the first 3 months, I could not be more than happy to have Kathy here, and she'll be accessible. She's just drinking from a fire hose, just like I am, but she's accessible and available to all of you at any given time. The other thing I just want to share with you, as anytime you have an opportunity to bring somebody else on board, it's fresh eyes. And I ask the questions through processes and work closely with the chair, and also closely with Department of Justice on our current processes. Are we doing it right? It could be even legal terms. What does access to records mean versus how it's been done, and should it be done that same way? And also, again, continue to understand the uniqueness of public records requests. We're seeing a lot more sealed orders, and so we're needing to reach out to DOJ on a more frequent basis, because it can be, they've given us a definite direction if it comes from Oregon, but what does it mean state by state? So those are some nuances. When I get some definite direction, some finality, I'd be more than happy to share with the board so that we're all hearing the same information as we go along. But I just wanted to let you know that is happening behind the scenes, and the dialogue as I continue to move from being on the committee viewpoint to now this side on DPSST and asking those questions. And I want to make myself available. The one thing I was able to do by attending both the OSSA, OACP conferences, and then the listening tour is getting my cards out there and contacts so that all the directors, chiefs, and sheriffs can ask questions, because knock on wood, thankfully, the volumes aren't there for agencies. And so when they come up and there is a professional standards case, is to be able to walk that department head through this and what they can expect. And I'm seeing those calls now, and I do appreciate it. So just want to make sure that you all know that I'm available to all of you as well. So that will conclude my update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
No additional updates, good. All right. Anything for good of the order? All right, hearing nothing, we will adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting date is July 25th at 9 a.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.